Ox famously said, "Sailors don't win scrums." What role does diet play in maintaining the physical strength that you need to be a tight-head prop? Hi everyone, I'm Deon Carstens, the ex-rugby player.
I'm Neethling Fouche, I'm a current rugby player, and this is Bound by the Jersey. Hallo Deon.
Neethling, lekker om weer te sien.
Lekker hoor man.
Ja.
Die manne groet nie meer so deesdae nie. Dis
Nou,
meer shakes en groet, maar ons onthou nog, ons kan nog so groet.
Ons is nog reg groot gemaak, ek verstaan ja.
Ja.
So Neethling, ek verstaan ons moet vir mekaar 'n paar vrae vra. So, and it's in English. And I understand you're an old grey person, scholar.
Ja.
I'm a Boland landbou guy, so we'll test the English today, I see.
Bietjie smengels praat.
Yeah, the States versus the farmers from the Cape, so let's see how it goes.
It's going to be lekker. It's going to be great.
Okay, you want to go first?
Yeah, thanks my man. No, let me go my elders first.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Respect.
Testing my English from the start, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. What advice would you give a young rugby player who just landed his first professional contract?
Okay, in my time it was stay away from Hatfield Square when I was at the Bulls. But I'll say now it's just having patience, because if there was this little trend that was happening a couple of years ago. Lots of the South Africans were playing overseas, and you had the young guys coming through quite quickly, and it establishes an expectation of you want to play for the Stormers in our case very quickly. Whereas now there's lots of senior guys coming back. So it's almost like that pipeline has built up again. So my advice for young guys now is to stay patient. It's not just going to happen for everyone playing, for the Stormers or playing for the Bulls or the Sharks when you're 19, 20 years old. There's going to be a bit of a waiting game happening again. So my advice will be patience, and especially in our position. Not all of us are making it at 21. I think there's a handful of guys. Kitsy France, guys that made it when they were 21, 20 years old. The rest of us, we have to pay our school geld. You have to come through, and you actually start seeing the best of yourself only when you're 26, 27 years old. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah, no, I think it's great advice, and just to add to that, I don't think much has changed from when I remember my days also, when you just got out of school and you got lucky enough to get a contract. First of all, everybody doesn't age the same and doesn't have the same experience coming from school going straight into rugby. So I think it's great advice, and if I can add my 2 cents, I would always tell the kids, and I still coach, and I'm still involved in schoolboy rugby, is you haven't made it yet. It's your first time that you were successful, or you're on the right track. It's so quickly you can lose your way. So I think that's great advice for kids or new contractors, that you to wait out your time, learn what you can, and realize that it doesn't mean you've already made it. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
A great answer.
Yeah. Right, next question. What makes playing for the DHL Stormers special?
I think you must give me a chance, because you keep on answering, and then I've got to say the same things.
You go first, eh?
I would say it's definitely the people. The Western Province in Cape Town, at DHL Stadium, and the DHL Stormers fan base. It's always been tremendous, and I think you'll have to search far to get the supporters that we have here in the Western Cape, which is amazing. And then tradition. In my career, I played here, and I left for a long time, and I ended my career here. For me, I think it's the place, the people, and the tradition that's been set by people before us.
Yeah. No, I mean 100%. My first season, I also had the privilege to play at DHL Newlands, and take that. I know who you are, I know who Corne is, but it's nice meeting you guys. Legends of the Stormers and the box. And I think what always stood out for me when I was watching the Stormers as a young guy is just the smiles on the faces. You've got John Deon also, he did his dance moves when he was scoring tries. And it just always looked like a nice vibe. And when you met the guys, you would always see the hard work happening on the field, but also the human factor afterwards, having a beer together. And I think for me that's what stands out from DHL Stormers is there's really that family vibe that you have. You know, the guys care for each other. The guys work hard on the field, but it's not only about the rugby. There's the friendships that's built for after rugby as well. I'll say that stands out for me at the DHL Stormers. Yeah.
Awesome. Next one. Oh. Here's a good one for us front rowers. Ox famously said, "Sailors don't win scrums." What role does diet play in maintaining the physical strength that you need to be a tight-head prop?
Yeah, I don't think diet is in our vocabulary. Oh, that's a big word for for a boertjie.
10 points.
Yeah, I'll say for me it's just about balance. You know, it's you can have a little bit of the geel fat, but not too much. You know, it's just having that balance, and I think we always needed that little bit of fat just to protect us. You know, and also I think my wife enjoys just having that little bit more to hold on to. So I won't say our diets must be too diet driven, but just to have that balance. You're going to have the 4 beers, but say no to that 5th one, you know. I
see, I think I was add there to Ox, our fellow front row, is I always believe that, you know, I don't believe still in margarine, it's butter, and I believe in full fat milk, and not like, because,
no.
You know, I've got all these joints, you know, in the scrum you get hurt, so I've got to keep them oiled, I get them moving,
no,
so
100%.
Got to oil the body, you know, at some stage, and so, I don't know, I think you're very lucky that you guys don't do 4 weeks tours anymore.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Corne would know this, but we used to get fat tested every week. and you know, you have to do your skin caliper test, and if you pick up more than a certain percentage, you get fined. So the 4 weeks in a hotel for a front rower with breakfast all day was hectic.
It's dangerous territory. Yeah.
But they should give us more leeway. You know, we're not the same as the rest.
Yeah. Now also, I mean, our conditioner now at the DHL Stormers is an Australian Will. So he actually speaks a lot about just knowing your body, knowing what you have to do to be ready by Saturday. So there's a lot of trust that happens. I mean, Brockie he's turning 40 this week, and he's that example for all of us. You know, if you ever like a night, you have a couple of beers. He's the first guy that next morning on the treadmill or outside, going to do that 5K. So he always says if you take, you have to give back.
True.
So yeah, I think you know, diet wise for a tight head, it's not too strict, but just having that balance. Yeah.
Good.
So. Next question. What is the most challenging aspect about being a tight head prop?
Sure, yeah. So I've obviously played both sides. Started off as a tight head and moved over to loose head early on. So for me, playing a tight head, it was definitely pressure. You know, it's we had a chat outside about the different roles of loose and tight head, and I don't think unless you've really played there, you would not know what it feels like. Having two people at 120 kilo or 110 kilogram plus, you know, barreling down on you and the pressure that you have to face, you know. So I think tight head is you've got to be a real purist of rugby. Your rugby knowledge should be quite sharp to know what's going on there, and if you haven't, jy het al bloed geproe in jou mond van skram. And it's you know, just pure pressure. Or if you have a lock behind you that you know, has got the strength of an Eben and those guys, if they're coming this way and they're coming this way, it's only one way, it's up. And that's a horrible feeling if your feet are hanging in the air.
Corkscrew, yeah.
So I tell you, I think the toughest part is definitely the pressure that you feel in that tight space as a front rower.
Yeah, that air supply gets very little at some point.
It's definitely not the fame you get from playing tight head. No, that wasn't the problem. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, you mentioned now that you played both. You know, which is a rare speciality to have. I can only think of a handful of guys these days that can play both. I think it's Trevor. You know, you've got Tuomas, And then I think it's Brocky, and I know I'm not sure if I'm missing someone, but you know it's not a lot of guys that can cover both.
And
So
currently playing, I think you're right. And I think on Thomas's side, he moved from lucid at school to tight end, which is that's the hard move. You know, normally us that get too old or too weak to be the tight end, we move to lucid. So, you know, let's put us on the side. So it's a lot of respect for a guy moving from left to right.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing 8th man, and then they moved me to tight end.
Okay,
the coach just said at school at Grey, he just said, we've got an 8th man, he's good. We need a prop. And I was like, I don't know how to play prop. I've played 8th man. He says, no, we'll help you. So a week before the trial started at school, they got Dougie Amos.
Yeah, I remember him, yes.
He came in and he told me, no, you're going to be fine. You've got a chest, you're going to be fine. And I asked him, but what must I do? He said, no, just keep your back straight. Just keep your back straight, you'll be fine. If you don't go forward, bait. So I was like, that was my advice that I got. And I mean, I played one game in my life. I played lucid. It was my first and my last game. It's an under-21 game. I was playing for the Bulls, and I was scrumming, and I had Paul Willemse behind me.
Okay, yes, sir.
So that's I think he was 135, 140. So he's behind me. He's not going to go backwards. And I'm going against a tight end. I can't remember his name, but he was actually quite good. And he had his right shoulder on my neck, and the press is just keeping on coming, and it just went like, boop, and I just felt something go. So I went to the doctor. He said, listen, something's not right, and he's like, no, your C6 disc popped. So the doctor told me, enjoy your lucid, that game you played, because you're never going to play lucid again. Focus on the tight end side. So, I mean, if for lucid, the neck has to be strong.
You're more lucky than me, because you got to play 8th man. I've never played anything else except prop. So born fat and die fat. So. Okay, next question. How do you balance being a family man with a demanding career like rugby?
I think the family is what keeps you grounded through everything. Just keeps the perspective of what's really important in life. You know, these days, I remember when I was young, I took losses quite badly, and it would really stay with you for a while, go home, you know, think about it, almost let it consume you. Whereas now, if you've got a family, it just keeps everything in perspective. You know, afterwards, my wife and my daughter comes on the field, and as soon as you see them, you just remember this is what life's about, and they support you no matter what. You know, if you flipping champions or if you bottom of the log, they love you just as much. So I'll say having a family as a sportsman, it's such a bonus. It's such a privilege to have that because of that reason.
Yeah, well, good answer.
Yeah.
So I didn't have, obviously, a family when I played rugby. I can only revert back to life and working these days, and I think it must be similar, you know.
Yeah.
It's the reason why you're here, is the family, and without that, we're nothing.
Yeah. No, 100%. All right, next question. What is the funniest moment you've had on the field?
Sure. It's quite a few, stretching over a few years, but if I have to think now, funniest moment, it would be, one of them would be Frans Stein. I really remember Frans Stein, school friend of yours or same school.
I was going like this.
So we're playing against, it was back in the Super Rugby days, and we're playing against, it was the Blues, the Auckland Blues. And this time it was raining the whole day, and they had a front rower, I think his name was Fouche or something. He painted his nails.
Oh, okay.
It was quite a thing back in the day, but he was a good rugby player.
Yeah.
And like it should be, I was at the back where I shouldn't be, and they were kicking on us, and Frans Stein caught the ball somewhere on the 10-meter line. Yeah. And I think we were here at that stage, and Frans Stein was new. You know, I think it must have been his first year.
Yeah.
Raining against the wind, and he pumps a drop goal from behind the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
And my fellow front rower is jogging next to me, And I'm also just standing there, and he just goes, yes. He couldn't believe it. Because everything this guy gets, he just puts over the post. You know? So he just smashed it through.
Yeah.
So jogging next to a fellow front rower, and this oak, it just gets smashed by Frans Steyn. So that was quite funny. And then, so you go. Maybe I'll catch a better story. We would quicken me on that, question.
I'm actually also thinking now, and it's obviously a lot of stuff that's happened. A lot of the funny stuff for me that's happened is very very much linked to Ali Vermaak. You know, he's a character, and he also just always reminds you that it's not all about the rugby. You have to have a laugh as well. I'm just thinking actually now we're playing against Montpellier in a warm-up game. I think it was 2018, 2019 somewhere, and we were in France, and we were crouching in a scrum, and we just keep hearing, allez, 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 allez. And obviously Ali's French isn't great. So he's like, how did I know my name? And obviously for the French it's what, come on, let's go, allez, allez. And he was like, but how did I know my name? And that was a quite funny moment that actually happened. In pre-season, they obviously, that's not our props' favorite part of the season.
True,
And so now when I joined Western Province, Ali said, so now we're wrestling. We have to do that wrestling, which everyone hates. Wrestling, running, and he comes to me. He's like, listen, because we're gonna go together. He's like, listen, just maak gelykies. Net ons maak dit gelykies. Says it's just in the face and maak gelykies. Then the conditioner.
It's like sprinting. Just changes your facial expression when you're sprinting.
He thinks none of that. These two props are working hard. So now there's lots of other stories as well. Yeah.
Lekker.
I think it's yeah.
It's an unfair question to ask the two of us sitting here. Who do you think is the best tight head prop in the world right now?
I think you can go first. I think it's you on the sides now.
Just I must admit, I laugh when I see people pick world teams and their teams, and you do not have Frans Malherbe as the best tight head in the world. I think he's proven it way above his last few years, time and again. He's just proven his solid work, and I think it was Doc Craven who said, he'll pick his first player he picks is his tight head, second one is reserve tight head. So. Yeah, I think at this moment, and I'm struggling to think when last I've seen him miss a tackle, or doesn't have a work rate, even with the build that he has. You don't expect him to be an athlete. So, but he is. I think he's a true testament, and I think close to one of the best tight heads South Africa's had in the modern and in the previous era. So for me, that was that. Worldwide, I can't say now because we've been dominating so much lately. It's been looking like our Lucid's been chowing up every other tight head in the world. Yeah. So don't want to talk too quickly, but so I think Frans Malherbe that's actually an easy one for me currently.
Yeah. I think for all of us, it's the training is the toughest when we're scrumming against the Lucids, but it's nice when you play with them, with Ox and Gerard and Ketsi. So it's. I think for me the easy answer is any South Africa. If you're thinking world class, it's. I'm just thinking all of our South African props.
In the URC, who would you rate as another
South Africans? It's South Africans. Okay. It's URC. You're looking at. You can't look past Volku. How he's been going, and then obviously the Thomas is in a prem, but I think Thomas has also shown now for the last couple of seasons, how quality he is. We all know what Frans has done. He's like you said now, 2 World Cups. So it's nice. It's nice to still be able to play against these guys and measure yourself against these guys. Learn from them. That's I think the most important thing for me is. You never stop learning. It's
never told.
You've always got some lucid that's got your number. So it's literally just about staying humble because it's a position that keeps you humble. You never get too far ahead of yourself, and it's also a nice lesson for us in life as well. Just to always stay humble, keep on doing what you can do to better yourself. Yeah.
Neethling, was very nice chatting to you. It was regtig lekker, and it's good to see that the DHL Stormers has got players like you that still really love the game, and you can hear from your passion that what you're doing is amazing. You still love it. So, and it was nice meeting you in person, and sterkte met die res van die seisoen.
Ja, thanks Deon. Ja, dankie. Dankie vir jou ook. Ek onthou nog die Britse Leeu's 2009. Yes, ek het my BrightRock gekyk en ek onthou jou daarso. So ja, jy's ook 'n stad wat ek nog altyd na opgekyk het. So dankie vir jou tyd. Want ons ook saam kan leer en ja, julle moet net weet as ex-spelers, ons kyk baie op na julle. Julle is die rede dat ons rugby opgevat het. So ja, baie dankie vir julle. Ek dink as mens nou klaar is, mens voel partykeer so half, jy het nie meer rol nie, maar ons kyk nog steeds op na julle en ja, so dankie vir jou tyd. Dit was lekker geweest.
Groot plesier.
Dankie.